Labour has been ruling Wales since they got their devolved parliament, with about a 30% vote share, and that's all of Wales. About 30% of Wales votes for their devolved parliament,
Right.
and from about that, it's something like 40 or 45% vote Labour, and so the Welsh Labour Party has about a dozen people that voted them into power,
Wow.
and they've been there the whole time, and they've turned Wales into Harvard University.
What, in the
Is it in the,
calls for extermination sense, or the
No.
fact that it's really expensive and everyone's in debt?
both, actually? So basically, this is just an article by the Telegraph, just saying that, look, Labour has made Wales the most woke country in all of Europe. I mean, you remember when the SNP were like, hey, hang on a second, perhaps we need to put male rapists in female prisons.
Yeah.
And that may well have destroyed the SNP. But Drakeford was like, you know what, that's a great idea. We need to do that too. And despite the fact that, of course, this ruined the SNP, he carried it on. And so Labour are carrying on this path. Welsh Labour seem to have inhaled deeply the ideology of the trans movement. They've got a particular agenda. It's 170 pages long. We're going to look at parts of it in a minute.
Right.
That's been promoted by the Welsh government to all schools, claiming that biological sex is not just male and female, and teachers have been told that children as young as 7 might be a, quote, mixed berry gender fluid muffin. Imagine saying that in a Welsh accent. I can't do accents. Hi folks, sorry to interrupt the video, but I just wanted to announce that we have a new line of merch in our merch store. The merch store was kind of empty for a while, and so I thought, right, okay, what do I actually want on shirts? And so I just went through some of the most epic and true things that I think that historical people have said, and John managed to make an amazing set of merch out of it. And we will have extra things coming in the store, such as posters for these to go on. Thanks for everything, folks. Now back to the video. While training private landlords in the virtues of anti-racism might not appear on most people's assumptions of politicians' lists of priorities, in Wales, that's exactly what is happening. And perhaps most sinister of all, guidance is expected to be finalised this month that warns historical statues that glorify, quote, powerful, older, able-bodied white men may be offensive to a more diverse modern public.
Powerful and able-bodied. We can't help it if we're fucking amazing.
Yes.
just the old like marble carvings of like the absolute Adonis body and all that stuff. You can see the immigrants.
The thing is, though, where do we have any statues like that? I'm thinking the fat statue of Winston Churchill.
Yeah.
You know? It's just like, come on.
Pretty much every statue of every notable person is fat.
Exactly. Right? And so it's just like really the immigrants coming here and go, oh, look at these fat Adonises who are chatting it up. I can't take it. Come on.
Like in the UK, yeah. But what comes to my mind is like the Soviet countries, and all their statues are literally Chad Wojaks versus Soyjak Nazis. Like every single one of them.
Yeah, but the difference is our statues are of real people.
Yeah, of course.
Soviet ones are of the hypothetical golden man.
But that speaks to something, though, right? Like, why would you build a statue if it wasn't to be powerful and able-bodied?
Yeah.
And those, obviously, in all of history, in the wars, let's say, are men.
Yeah, instead of just this fat guy.
So, I mean, do they actually want a 400-pound black woman and to turn that into a statue?
That's undoubtedly going to be the case because they are
Maybe it's just cost-cutting on bronze.
Maybe per pound, isn't it?
Yeah.
But they are going to get rid of the Duke of Wellington and Admiral Nelson. Again, Admiral Nelson, savior of England, savior of Britain. Like, they're going to literally tear down these statues.
Like that statue in Charlottesville.
And
do it with a mask of Nelson just being like, avenge me.
Yeah, if they melt down the head of Nelson, I'm going to be furious. Actually,
What did Nelson do that was so bad?
Saved Britain.
Well, yeah, he crushed Napoleon and destroyed the French.
No, I know.
I mean, they're not bad.
I know a lot about it. There's a member of my staff that is obsessed, and if anybody says anything bad about Nelson,
absolutely, and rightly so. Nelson was fucking amazing. But anyway, let's have a look at the anti-racist plan for Wales.
How is this real?
Right, this is absolutely real.
What am I looking at?
Why
is it in Welsh?
Let's look at Mark Drakeford's statement there, right? Shall we? Tackling racism and promoting race equality have always been important to the Welsh government, but over the past few years, prompted by the growing division in society, we've come to realise these issues are more pressing than ever.
What? American issue has always been important in Wales.
Yes. We want meaningful change to the lives of Black, Asian, and minority ethnic people in a transparent way that uses their lived experiences and respects their rights as citizens of Wales.
An American wrote this. This is an American leftist language.
You would think so. So in this, they have a vision. And the vision is a Wales which is anti-racist. And among the main themes that emerge, anti-racism was key and so central to this work. Other themes included notions of equity, social justice, and celebrating diversity in all forms. Contributors felt that they wanted to see a Wales where there is a shared understanding and agreed actions for tackling systemic and institutional racism, i.e. the ways in which racism is and has historically been embedded in the working organizations they encounter. The goal should be to create equitable outcomes which are by which we are united, not divided by our differences. We want to work together as white and ethnic minority people to jointly make a different and better Wales.
No, that'd make Wales worse. Just make it far worse.
It's not brilliant to start with.
No, definitely not.
Have you guys ever seen the film The Garda?
No.
It's an Irish film. And there's a brilliant sketch in it where a black guy from the FBI comes down because there's a lot of cocaine that they've got to find somewhere in Ireland. And the main character is this Irish provincial policeman. And he just says, I thought only black lads sold coke. And he's like, excuse me? And they say, you got to stop with your racism. And he says, I'm Irish. Racism's in my blood. And just whenever I hear anything from any of the Celtic world, especially in sort of like a Celtic nationalist context, where it's like, oh, yes, us Celts have always been concerned with anti-racism. It's like, no, your entire history and culture is based on hating the English.
Yeah.
It is explicitly, I hate the English and I'm going to be racist towards the English. And then to see them turn around and be like, I hate racism, it's just like, it's not you anymore.
It's nothing but ethnocentrism. And it always has been with the Celts. And okay, fair enough, understandable. You know, we've always had the thumb on you. But then to say, yeah.
Finally admits it.
Hey, man, all I'm saying is that you had it coming. Right? But look at this, right? Like, this is the vision of Wales, which is anti-racist. The purpose to make meaningful change in the lives of Black, Asian, and ethnic minority communities. And then the values. Oh, we're going to have lived experiences. It's going to be rights-based, which is something I'm so sick of hearing. And it's going to be open and transparent. Right?
No, it won't.
And so the plan is that by 2030, quote, we believe that by 2030, we should all be seen as Welsh. Welsh is in inverted commas.
Well,
we will all be seen as Welsh.
Welsh.
So like any foreigner that's just came into the country for like 2 weeks is Welsh.
By 2030, anyone who steps foot on Welsh soil will be considered Welsh. And that the problem...
That's called magic dirt.
Yes.
That's magic dirt.
That's literally, they are sat there with the magic dirt theory.
Yeah.
And we should all be seen as Welsh. And the problem of racism, which leaves trauma that affects mental health for years, will no longer be upon our shoulders. So by 2030...
But not one, even if they achieve that, they're still going to hold themselves accountable for all the racism and stuff like that. There's no fixing it. There is no solution.
Obviously.
Yeah.
By 2030, Black, Asian, and minority ethnic people and others will have, quote, relinquished the emotional labor of supporting racist behaviors and institutional racism.
Were you supporting it?
I've no idea, but this is the goal by 2030, right? This is what Mark Drakeford expected to happen.
What does that mean exactly? Like, with the black population of Wales donating to the Klan for the last 10 years. And then
what
just like,
black population of Wales?
Well, that one black guy.
Recognized and ensured that all of our different lived experiences are heard and advocated for. Worked collaboratively without competing and speak with one voice, which is working really, really well in the Jewish Muslim community. Much handshaking there. They will have lost the anxiety of waking up to racism as a fact for myself and my children, and of carrying the emotional toil that triggers us daily.
Oh my God. They're even using the 2016 language.
I know.
No one uses that except ironically now.
Exactly. I wake up in Cardiff, I'm triggered. I go to the north, I'm triggered. I go in the valleys, I'm triggered.
I'm triggered.
I step out of my house and I see Welsh people and I'm triggered. I'm literally the Welsh Humza use.
I cannot believe there are Welsh people in Wales.
I know.
Disgusting. How dare they? How dare they think they can do that?
But this is an interesting one. A right to ask for and receive a culturally appropriate service. It's like, right, so we're going to invite people from all over the world and they're going to get culturally appropriate services. So it's going to have to be in their native language, with their native religion, with native customs, presumably with natives of that place serving them as well. So it's just like, what? Literally, you want to set up like tiny micro colonies in Wales.
Bankrupt the government as well.
It's bonkers.
Yeah.
Like, bonkers.
We're going to hire someone that needs to speak 50 different languages, and we need 30 of them. It's like, no, it's not going to happen.
But the thing is, this is also in contradiction with this next one, We want to be in a situation where people no longer get asked, where do you come from, but are accepted for their commitment to Wales and so seen as Welsh. It's like, okay, but if you don't speak English or Welsh, people are going to need to know to make sure that you get the culturally sensitive service.
Yeah.
Like, where did you come from? Oh, I'm still not being seen as Welsh, says the guy from Uganda. It's like, sorry, I can't believe it. And so you might be like, okay, well, where did this all come from? Well, this came from a consultation.
It always
Consultation on the Race Equality Action Plan and anti-racist Wales, because that will solve racism. If we haven't got Wales, we haven't got anything, boys. Right? In May 2020, the killing of George Floyd.
I smashed this microphone. I'm so bored of hearing it.
Really going.
What has the killing of George Floyd got to do with Wales?
Well, you see, he hated the Welsh, so in his name...
George Floyd would never have known what Wales is. He would literally be like George W. Bush. When some girl was like, he was like, where are you from? And she's like, I'm from Wales. He's like, what state's that? It's like, shut up, George. You know, he doesn't know. It, like, honestly. So the Welsh government, recognizes time for urgent action. And so, of course, that means getting rid of Winston Churchill, just as George Floyd wanted.
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing? Again, I wish I'd asked George Floyd, do you know who Winston Churchill is? So anyway, Mark Drakeford has resigned. God only knows why. This came as a total surprise to everyone. No one actually knows why he's done it. He denies that the backlash over the new 20-mile-an-hour speed limits across Wales had anything to do with it. Can you imagine being only 20 miles an hour?
All over the place, like everywhere.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I
don't think it was that they did it. I think it's just because he's been doing a fucking awful job.
You would think so, but it has been very, very progressive.
Did he discover he is Welsh?
Well,
that seems like a bit of a problem.
Yeah, someone sat him down and goes, Mark, we need to have a talk.
Turns out.
Yeah. You're actually white.
This can't be. It gets the DNA results. 102% Welsh with a 2% margin of error.
Presumably, he'd had a quick phone call with Humza Yousaf.
Oh, God. I hate
First Minister of Wales, white. But yeah, so he resigned. And Humza, a member of a competing party, is the first out to be like, yes, well done, Mark Drakeford. You're such a fine fellow. Aren't you meant to be oppositional to one another? I mean, you're about to get trashed by Labour in Scotland.
Oh, no, they're basically like, yeah, they're opposite parties and stuff like that, but they are part of...
They're part of the movement.
The club.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, they're all part of the movement. And so, yeah. Humza Yousaf, big fan of Mark Drakeford. Keir Starmer, big fan of Mark Drakeford. I mean, Mark set a clear standard for public service, always putting himself above others. And during his 5 years...
Always putting others before himself? You mean always putting fucking foreigners before the natives?
I did mean that, yeah.
Yeah.
But also, you know, a kind of decent man who lives his Labour values. It's like, yeah, okay, well, if what we've seen so far is Labour values, I guess maybe. So the question is, who's likely to replace Mark Drakeford?
Why did they end that with a proud Welshman?
Yeah, well, Vaughan Gething is the current economy minister, born in Zambia.
An economic powerhouse.
Is he in Wales right now?
Yes.
On the ground? Well, he's
Yes.
Welsh then.
Exactly. Then he's just as Welsh as anyone else.
That would really annoy me if I went to visit Wales and as soon as I arrived, they were like, you're Welsh now. I'd leave. Immediately.
Punch him.
I think it's
taking big strides not to touch the ground. The floor is Welsh.
Literal government policy. But yeah, so there's Vaughan Gething and there's Jeremy Miles. Jeremy Miles is a straight white guy who's from Wales. So
you should lose.
Yeah, I'm hoping for the full Commonwealth experience for the entire of the British Isles. And so I support Vaughan Gething for First Minister of Wales.
If you appreciated that episode from the podcast of the Lotus Eaters, you can go to lotuseaters.com to get access to all the premium content that is on the site, such as the Lads Hours, this episode with Right Said Fred talking about music. If you'd like to find out what else is being put out, you can follow on Twitter at lotuseaters_com on Twitter. Thank you and goodbye.